Ms. Schaefer, come on up. Twice in one night. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Schaefer, Echo Road. I just wanted to update you on something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which was the enrollment figures for the university. I have written to Mr. Kirk to ask again for the updated enrollment numbers. In the meantime, I noticed that Stephanie Reese was quoted in the Hartford Courant yesterday saying that there were 12,700 beds on campus. That is 220 beds fewer than I estimated. So while that could be a typo on the part of the Courant, I would suspect it's probably the calculation for the unrepurposing of previously repurposed space, which was eliminated over the last 10 years when they crammed hundreds more students into the study halls. So our figures are still off, but it looks to me like there are fewer beds than they have even anticipated, than they previously were admitting to or suggesting that they had. So several factors are relevant here. I think, first of all, how many students have been added, how many beds have been removed, which is something that we never have really looked at, and what are the university policies which are discouraging students from living on campus. For example, even if we talked about vacant beds last time, if there are 500 beds become vacant in the middle of the year, off-campus students cannot move back on campus and occupy those beds. That's the university policy. So once you're off campus, you may not move back on campus. You're off for good. The only way they could infill those rooms, those vacant rooms, is to admit more students and increase their enrollment to an even higher level. So the fact that the university cites temporarily vacant rooms is really irrelevant. It's part of people moving in and out of hotels, motels, apartments, and dorms. Also, the lack of restrictions for cars brought on campus or brought to town is, in my opinion, very relevant as one of the factors that we should be considering. Up to about 10 or so years ago, freshmen were not allowed to bring cars to campus. Now, not only are all students allowed to bring cars to campus, but 51% of all the students live off campus, which represents an unprecedented number of off-campus students. That is very relevant to the impact of our community. Most of those cars are not registered in town, so we do not get the tax benefit, but we do suffer the financial burden in road maintenance, street signs, no parking signs, and police management of the traffic. There are traffic jams in places that were never an issue. And there are more daily trips per person with an off-campus student than a permanent resident. Students go back and forth between classes throughout the day. Due to the excess traffic, some of the permanent residents have lost the use of the roads and can no longer bike or walk on those roads, and Eastwood or Westwood is a pretty good example. It's very difficult to have two ladies walk around Eastwood and Westwood in the middle of the day. You basically are walking single file because you're going to hit if you don't. So we've basically lost the use of many of our roads. So again, I would ask that the town council please write a statement of concern addressed to the state legislature stating the concerns of the permanent residents of Mansfield. We are not asking for a cap on enrollment on the store's campus. Rather, we are asking for a reduction in enrollment to the reasonable levels for a town of our size. Uconn can decentralize their facilities to better utilize their satellite campuses as well as the great community college system that we have in this state. This is a concern of all residents. Just in the last week, we have had about 25 new members that joined the Mansfield Neighborhood Preservation Group. Those people live on Overlook Drive, Sawmill Brook Lane, Candide Lane, and Bald Hill, among other streets. So this is something that is a town-wide concern, and we really do ask that you would address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.